from Aurangabad. Over to you, Shilpa.
Yes, thank you, madam. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I am Dr. Shilpa Segaonkar, Secretary of WDW Aurangabad. And first of all, I would like to congratulate Team Amravati WDW for arranging such fantastic conference in adverse situation on this digital platform. Now we are heading towards our last session, and as it is a WDW, so woman conference cannot be completed without the beauty tips. So it is said that woman's greatest asset is her beauty. And in this corona pandemic, since last 6 months, all the beauty parlors are closed. We are not able to visit our parlor, but we would love to listen the beauty tips from the dermatology in the scientific way. For this session, I would first like to introduce our chairperson, Dr. Ujjwala Dahikhade, who is president of WDW from Aurangabad. She is past secretary and president of Surgical Society, and I am proud of her because she is the first lady plastic surgeon, not only of Aurangabad, but in Marathwada and Vidarbha. For more than 6,000 surgeries of plates, cleft palate and cleft lip, she had done in SMILE project. Our second chairperson for this session is Dr. Sushma Chaudhary, who is senior gynecologist from Amravati. She is practicing since 35 years. She is also past president of OBGY Society, Aurangabad, and she is kind-hearted, loving, and instant poetess. I invite both our chairperson, Dr. Ujjwala Dahikhade and Dr. Sunita Chaudhary, to chair this session. Now I would like to introduce our speaker, Dr. Shilpa Pathikar, who is a well-known dermatologist from Aurangabad. She is associate professor at MGM Medical College, Aurangabad. She is also PG teacher. And most important about her is she is rank holder of Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Health Sciences during her MD course. Up till now, she has delivered various talks in state, international, national conferences. She has worked as abstract reviewer and published various case studies and papers in index journals. Her area of interest is leprosy and dermatology. So I request Dr. Shilpa Pathikar madam to start with the session and request the chairperson to chair the session.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, Shilpa, you're audible. Hello, you're audible.
I'll share my screen. Thank you, Asigaonkar madam, for the introduction. So I'll just start the session. Make beautiful skin and healthy hair a reality. In short, we'll deal with the structure of skin. Skin is basically made up of epidermis, dermis, and the subcutaneous tissue. The epidermis is the outermost layer, then we have the dermis and then the subcutaneous tissue, as you can see in the diagram. In the dermis, you have the opening of the sebaceous gland. The sebaceous gland is a gland, very important gland, which secretes sebum, and thus it's an oil producing gland which gives oily appearance to the skin. So what are the functions of skin? The functions of skin are basically protection. It protects from the external environment and sensation like touch, pain, temperature, etc. It maintains the thermoregulation, it will help to maintain the body temperature and regulation of the body temperature, helps in storage of lipids and water, and helps in absorption. It will absorb the UV rays and helps in synthesis of vitamin D. So coming to clinically, classify the skin types according to Fitzpatrick's classification, that is type 1 to type 6. For example, type 1 is classically seen in the foreigners, that is example in Europeans, etc. It is a type which always burns and never tans. They have very fair skin and thus they are prone for photosensitivity and they are prone for freckling, etc. In Indian scenario, we belong to type 5 skin, which is brown skin, and it is moderate and constitutional pigmentation is there. Coming to general skin type classification, we have the normal skin and the sensitive skin. The normal skin is the one which we term the skin is normal whenever the secretion of the sebum is enough not to produce the dryness of the skin, and it is not that excessive that it will cause oiliness and greasiness of the skin. So normal skin is definitely ideal skin type, which is commonly seen in the younger individuals. The next one is the sensitive skin. Whenever the patients come to the specialist, they always say, "माझं skin खूप sensitive आहे. मला खूप strong औषध लिहून देऊ नका." So the concept of sensitive skin, definitely it is different from one patient to another. But what is sensitive skin according to us? Clinically, we have to look for erythema, that is redness or telangiectasia and all may be present. Sensory symptoms like say pain, tingling sensation, pain, and etc. will be present if they are triggering factors like UVA rays and UVB rays and certain cold heat exposure like cold, heat, etc. And cosmetics and soaps are also triggering factors which can lead to erythema and sensory symptoms. Generally, we classify this skin type into oily type, dry, and mixed type, that is combination skin. Oily skin type is one where the individuals, in these individuals, the sebum secretion by the sebaceous gland is in excess quantity. That's why the skin appears greasy and oily. See, everything has its own advantages and disadvantages. In oily skin, the disadvantage is that the patients are more prone for acne vulgaris or development of pimples. And the biggest advantage of oily skin is that it gives them a younger look, and wrinkling and all will be delayed in case of patients with oily skin. And second one we have is a dry skin type. Dry skin type is a one where the sebaceous gland secretion or the sebum secretion is lesser in case of these patients. And the advantage of dry skin is that since sebum secretion is less, they are less prone for development of pimples or acne. And the disadvantage is that they have a tendency for early wrinkling. Then the most commonest type of skin type is a mixed type or the combination type of skin. Like you can see in this diagram, you can see the T zone, okay, and the V zone. The T and the V zone. The T zone is the area of excessive sebum production, that is the forehead area, the nasal area, the upper lip area, and the chin area. This area will be oily, and the V zone you can see is over the lateral aspect of the cheeks and over the mandibular area. So this is a dry zone where the sebum secretion is less. So this is a common skin type which is commonly the combination skin type which is commonly seen. So coming to the general skin care, we have to do sun protection. Okay, it may be in the form of sunscreen or protective clothing. Protective clothing, you'll have to wear full clothing. Protect the exposed parts of the body to the sunlight, and you can wear broad rim hats, etc. Then avoid smoking, alcohol, wash the skin gently, moisturize regularly, and nutrition, that is nutrition which is green leafy vegetables and antioxidants, vitamin C, etc. has to be used. So coming to routine skincare, we'll deal with it in detail. First is cleansing, second toning, then moisturizing and sunscreen. In cleansing, we are washing our face or cleaning this one by bathing. So we are using either soaps or we are using face washes. Cleansing, cleaning the face has to be done routinely twice daily, and you can use milder soaps as well. We usually prefer glycerin-based soaps, especially for dry skin individuals. Individuals who have, say, atopy, eczema, asthmatic, they have dry skin. So you can advise them glycerin-based soaps. And then coming to toning, these toners are basically, after cleansing, go for toning. These toners are basically alcohol based. Okay, prefer less alcohol based in case of dry skin, and more alcohol based toners in case of oily skin. This toning is not a very important step. You can skip this toning step, and after cleansing directly, you can go for moisturizing part of the body. The moisturizing part is the most important aspect of routine skin care. The oil and water moisturizers which are there, those are the ideal skin moisturizers which can be used routinely in the normal skin type. Okay? Cream based formulations you can use at night, and lotion based formulations you can use during the daytime. And the ideal time for using the moisturizer is immediately after bathing. Okay, of course, in individuals who have dry skin or atopic eczemas and all, you can moisturize twice daily. But ideal time is after bathing, immediately after bathing, pat the skin dry and then apply the moisturizer. And our age-old traditions have always been having some scientific basis. One of the ancestral practice is oil massage before the bathing, especially in newborns and all. That plays a very important role, because whatever oil massage is being done, not only it increases the vascularity and increases the blood supply over the skin because of the massaging part, but also immediately you're giving bath after the moisturizing with the with the massage with the oil, right? So this oil is preventing the alkaline effect of the harsh soaps which we are using, because the skin pH is on the acidic side, that is about 5.5 to 6.5, and all the soaps which we are using, they are mostly on the alkaline side. So that's why we advise glycerin based soaps. Then coming to sunscreen, these are also very important aspect of from photo protection. Okay, and sunscreens should for Indian scenario, the Indian type of skin, ideally you prefer this sunscreen with SPF, that is sun protection factor of 30, at least minimum 30 or more than 30, and you will have to use sunscreen which have both UVA and UVB blockers. And the sunscreens containing physical agents like zinc and titanium oxide and even chemical blockers are the ideal sunscreens. There are many patients who come with tanning and all, and they complain that we have been using sunscreen and still it has not been protecting us. But very important is the compliance of the patient and how they are applying the sunscreen is very important. Like for example, you have to apply the sunscreen half an hour before going outside the sun. First thing. Second thing, choose the right SPF that I told you is minimum of 50. And third thing is, you should always remember that these sunscreens, they have an effect of about 3 to 4 hours minimum. So suppose if the patient is applying the sunscreen at 9 a.m., we advise them to repeat the sunscreen at 12. Again, if after say about 12, if they are applying the sunscreen, the effect will be till 2 or 3 p.m. So after that also, if they are going out, then advise them to repeat the sunscreen. So this is a major drawback, that is you have to repeatedly apply the sunscreens. So compliance is very important. The right choice of the sunscreens is important, and the sun rays to be protected is between 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Those are the rays which are strong enough, and so that duration you will have to be protected with sunscreen. There are some patients who always say that even though they are photosensitive, they say we are always indoors. Like for melasma patients and all, even though they are indoors, we are advising sunscreens for their application. But they say we are always indoors, why should we apply the sunscreens? But we have to advise them that even if they are indoors, whatever heat is generated while they are cooking, or even if they are sitting indoors, the windows can penetrate the UVA rays. That's why you have to advise them to apply the sunscreen even though they are indoors. Coming to wrinkles, wrinkles is of course a natural aging process. Nobody can escape this process. So that is one of the important aspects of wrinkling. Then there are certain factors which can promote early wrinkling, and that is sunlight, crash dieting, smoking, alcohol, that is bad habits, as madam has already mentioned before. Then air pollution. So how will you treat for wrinkles? Of course, aging, you have no treatment for it. You cannot prevent the process of aging. Everyone has to undergo that. But whatever precipitating factors are there for wrinkling, that can be treated, or that can be at least decreased. Like, for example, decrease the sun exposure. I have mentioned use sunscreens, and moisturize the screen judicially. Then plenty of oral fluids. Okay. Then and smoking and alcohol and other bad habits have to be stopped. Treatment of wrinkles, we use antioxidants, Botox, injectables, okay, anti-aging creams, facelifts or red lifts. Then lasers in the form of CO2 laser or ABM lasers can be used. Then skin fillers can be used. Of course, anti-aging creams, most of them they act like placebo, because whatever contents are there, they are not able to penetrate into the stratum corneum and give the desired effects. Then coming to cosmetic procedures, not only for patients who have pigmentation, etc., acne, etc., but there are normal skin types also who can undergo these cosmetic procedures so as to improve the skin glow and all. So, like for example, we have chemical peeling, microdermabrasion, derma roller, and laser skin resurfacing. Here, in chemical peeling, we are using various chemicals like glycolic acid peels, PCA peels, peels, then retinoic acid peels, etc. So you can see in the picture, this is a patient of melasma. So in melasma, of course, it's very, very difficult to treat melasma because it is known to rebound back whatever treatment you do. But at least with chemical peeling and all, the pigmentation tends to reduce. Then the second one is the microdermabrasion, common terminology, what we call it as skin polishing. Okay, it is just an office procedure, but with this, what we are doing is we are using these aluminum hydroxide crystals to dermabrate or microdermabrate the skin. With this, the dead skin or the stratum corneum gets replaced. And this, the biggest disadvantage of this is all these procedures have to be done in sessions. Okay? And in microdermabrasion, the good effect or the the young look what it comes, it's mainly because of the dermal edema. And this dermal edema, which is there, it's it's temporary. And once the dermal edema subsides, say about 2 to 3 weeks, again your same look comes into existence. So repeated sessions are required. The next we have is the derma roller. We use this roller which have micro needles. Okay, they come in various sizes. So depending on the patient, we choose the different needles, and we can use it for various pigmentations. Okay, acne vulgaris, scars due to acne vulgaris can be used. And main thing you should remember that after all these procedures, the main thing is you will have to do sun protection. So because what happens in Indian skin type, after all these procedures, they are more prone for post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So we have to choose the patient wisely and choose the peels and the procedures wisely in Indian skin scenario. Okay, since we are dealing with COVID, I would like to just add what skin care you can take during COVID. One is a hand care and one is a face care, since we are continuously using the mask. Okay, hand care, see, we are repeatedly washing our hands with soaps and repeatedly using hand sanitizers, etc. Because of which, what is happening is the moisture content of the palms is lost, and the skin tends to become dry. Okay, fissuring also can occur if you are using harsh soaps. So for hand care, you can use milder soaps. Say if you don't want to use any medicated milder soaps, you can go for milder soaps like Pears and Dove as well. So that is one thing. And second is moisturizing your hands. Of course, if you're using whole day gloves and all, it's not possible. But at least while sleeping at night, just before going to bed, you can apply the moisturizers judicially. If nothing is there, at least you can use this one, coconut oil or Vaseline or petroleum jelly, which is act as a remember that coconut oil is a very good emollient, what we call it as poor man's moisturizer, because moisturizers are very, very costly. So in patients with lower economic status, we always tell them that if coconut oil also is applied at home, that also can take good care of moisturizing the skin. Then second, I have mentioned this terminology as mask acne. Okay, because we are continuously in this COVID era, we are using the mask. Because of it, we are seeing patients who are coming with acne vulgaris, especially over that area where the patient is covered his or her face with mask. So the acne are present over the mask area. That's why I've mentioned the terminology as mask acne. And you have to remember, we are just treating these patients as same as acne vulgaris by giving and ask them to wash their face repeatedly so that the oiliness will be lost and at least the if, not complete cure, at least there is a reduction of the mask acne. I would like to mention about steroid abuse because we have easily available steroids, over the counter available steroids, which are given by the pharmacists like Betnovit, Pandem, Candid B. These are easily available, and most of these patients, the reason well known to them, first they prefer going to self medication by going to the pharmacist. All these pharmacists invariably they give this cheaper steroid, topical steroid creams, irrespective of whether it is acne, irrespective of whether it is fungal infection. They have been giving steroids, and we have been facing very bad situation because of these steroids. Like for example, you can see in the first picture, the patient has fungal infection over the preauricular area. You can see the well-defined plaques. This type of infection is commonly seen in the groin area, that is tinea cruris, what we call it as. And invariably, these patients they go to the pharmacist and get Betnovit or Candid B, and they are doing self-application. Initially, what happens is because of this steroid application, they feel that it has vanished or improvement is there in the lesions because it's mainly because of the anti-inflammatory action of the steroid. But in due course of time, what happens is once they stop the steroid, again the condition rebounds back. Again they start applying the steroid. Again they are well. Again the vicious cycle continues. So the skin becomes totally dependent on steroid, and what harm it does to the fungal infection is it's going to promote the growth of the and when they actually come to the skin specialist for the treatment, it's very, very difficult for treating this steroid modified tinea and what treatment, what condition could have been treated within a span of say 2 to 3 weeks, it is going to take them months or years to do. In the second picture, similarly, you can see the patient has been using long-term steroid over the face. So the first patient has developed one of the side effects, that is excessive hair growth over the chin area. Second patient has developed the acne vulgaris. So here also you can see most of the patients are using for acne also these topical steroids. So initially, again because of the anti-inflammatory action of the steroid, they might feel that there's improvement in it, and they continue using it until and unless the face becomes used to that steroid and dependent on the steroid. So ultimately, when they come to treatment near us, it's very, very difficult to treat the steroid withdrawal syndrome or the symptoms which are there, not only because the skin is dependent, even psychologically they become dependent on these steroids because long-term effects like such acne lesions, pigmentary hypopigmentation, hyperpigmentation, acne lesions, hirsutism, the skin becomes atrophic, telangiectasia is there. So all these complications are very, very difficult. So coming next to the hair care, okay. Hair care definitely these are the headings: washing hair, say by shampooing, conditioning, then drying of hair, brushing of hair, hair trimming, hair styling, and maintaining the general health. Coming to washing of hair, washing the scalp hair ideally twice weekly with a mild shampoo is an ideal thing. But if you're using
Hello,
hello,
Shilpa ma'am.
yeah.
Yeah, will you please make it a little bit faster?
Yeah. This is the last part. Hair.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Thank you.
Washing twice weekly is more than enough. Avoid shampoos which are rich in parabens and sulfates because they tend to cause irritation to the eyes. Then next is moisturizing. Moisturizing, you do it with the oiling or with the help of a conditioner. Oiling is, see, any oil is okay, because there is no oil that is going to increase your hair length or make your hair thicker. So simple coconut oil also to the scalp is important, is fine, because these oil, what role they have is they are just moisturizing the hair, and also because during oiling you are massaging, right? So that increase the vascularity and thus it helps in hair. So this is about this one. Then moisturizing, again using a conditioner. Once a week conditioning is sufficient. Use mild conditioners, that will be suffice. and apply the conditioner from the mid shaft to the hair. Don't apply to the scalp and keep it for 1 minute and wash it off. Okay, these conditioners, what they do is like they restore the lost oil film, which is occurred on the hair because of shampooing, and they make the hair bouncy and lubricate the hair. And drying, natural drying is always better. As far as possible, avoid hair drying with the help of air dryers and all, because healthy skin do not respond well to the heat of the blow dryers and all. And if they have, if at all you have to use a blow dryer, see that you keep the minimal, what you say, lowest temperature setting, and limit its usage as far as possible. Then brushing, see, this is a brushing brush we have to use. Okay, wide teeth brush for combing our hair. And do not brush your hair also very frequently. Okay, twice daily brushing is more than enough, because what they do is like brushing frequently also, it reduces it causes the strands to break and results in frizzy hair. Then next, lastly, the hair styling is very, very important. Trim your hair at least say once in 6 to 8 weeks. That is that roughly comes to about once in 2 months or so. Okay, hair styling is very, very important. Like for example, in the first picture, you can see he was a priest who used to apply this tight ponytail over the area, and you can see wherever the traction is there, where he has lost the hair. Okay, or alopecia is there. In the second picture, you can see a girl whose mother used to tie a very, very tight ponytail to her. Okay, so in the process of tying the tight ponytail, the frontal hair are undergoing lot of traction, due to which there is alopecia or frontal alopecia. So this is covered in short about hair and skin care. So definitely, of course, good skin totally again depends upon genes, but we can do all these methods to maintain a good skin. Thank you.
Over to Shilpa, madam. Dr. Shilpa Asegaonkar. Chairperson, please comment. Dr. Shilpa Asegaonkar, madam. Yeah. Sunita, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Sunita.
Good evening, friends. Now, it was a very scientific, fantastic talk by Dr. Shilpa Patrikar. She has covered all the points scientifically, and she has talked on a topic which is very close to the heart of all of us. Everyone, I mean, every woman dreams of a shiny, healthy hair and a glowing skin. And with Dr. Shilpa's tips and tricks, and also the do's and don'ts, which she has given us scientifically, I'm sure when we all meet in person, maybe next WPW conference, I'm sure with the advice by Dr. Shilpa, we can front this skin and healthy. Thanks to Shilpa. Over to Dr. Hello.
Pratik, please present the memento to Shilpa Patrikar, ma'am. Dr. Shilpa Asegaonkar, this is the memento on behalf of our IVCON 2020 committee to you. Thank you.